Yo, rookies. I am hopping on now as I saw few of you on the Insiders stream, which was running. I didn't want to overlap. This may be part of a series, which is Supercoach After Dark, where it's just the dirty late night streams, essentially, where you can give us your hot takes. Could be about a Dale situation, could be about a Smith situation if you're not hot on Smith. Give us your hot takes. Cheese, welcome back in. We'll see how many people rock in. It is getting late on a weeknight. Saturday nights are probably a little bit different, but we'll just hang around because all I really want to do is just mess around with my trades because I'm still very unsure on what I want to do. We could do a Callahan in and just get Dale and hope Stewart gets up. That's a very dependent one as well, because if Stewart does not play, what am I doing? Hot take, I'm worried that we'll need Bice, Aiden Johnson, and Hall next week. That's very interesting. I wonder if Clay Hall has that job security. Yeah, I thought you meant Clay Hall and not Max Hall. That's interesting, because if he was pretty much the direct replacement for Graham. So if Graham comes back, do you think he holds his spot? That's that's a good question to have. Cheese can't stay long and have work at 7. Yeah, mate, don't worry, I gotta get up at work too. It probably might be just a quick half, depending on how many rock up. I think hot take, Callum Sarong is not even top 12 midfielder this year. Not 12. That's crazy. That is a hot take. That is a steaming pile of hot take, that one. Very interesting. Very interesting. But that's thrown me. That has definitely thrown me, Cheese. Not top 12. Crazy. So, while I've got the few Supercoach dedications that are here, there's two scenarios. There's a scenario where Stewie does play, and I feel like I have to hold. There's a situation where he plays next week, which I feel like if he doesn't get up this week, I have to trade him because he's going to bleed cash. But I think he's going to bleed enough to the point where it's actually worth a trade back in if you have to organize it. I am worried about missing Finn Callahan though. So I could go Hez to Dale, and then potentially move a Horn Francis to Smith, and then get a O'Sullivan up to Callahan. So there's that situation. Hot take. I mean, hey, that hot take might actually come true. If he keeps this form where he's wanting to fight everyone instead of actually play football, yeah, there's a chance. There's always a chance. Always. But I am curious if we had to pick either bolstering up our defensive line. So let's just say Perryman and Stewart need to go. Are we bringing in like a Naz and Dale? Or do we miss out on Henderson? Is probably the better question. Because I can move things around where Horn Francis gets dropped. We move Perryman and Stewart up to a Dale and Clark and bring in a Smith. That's something that could happen. I worry if Tom Stewart, as a Tom Stewart owner, if he's coming back too early. Well, that's also the concern, is if he does play this week. I don't imagine he does. Geelong are very mindful with their management, and they'll always take a break and give them more time than what's needed. That's essentially what they're doing with College Asney. He was fit to play. They just didn't play him because they wanted to make sure he was good to go for a full season. So they're very patient when it comes to injuries and returns. And I imagine Stewart doesn't actually play. So I'm kind of banking on that. So I actually think our trade outs kind of have to be Pez, Foss, and Stewart, which means we need to bolster our defensive line again. Now, we could keep Foss, but we just miss out on Henderson. So do I go early on Bice and then just field these duds until next round? that doesn't necessarily make sense because I can go prior because they're all about to get price rises. Yaron, what is good? Welcome in, mate. Welcome in. Done 2 streams today. Where I did a 2-hour stream or roundabouts there before, but could have done more. Needed to go feed the dog, have a shower, do all that fun stuff. I do just love Flanos though. And then I thought, you know what, I've got nothing better to do than hop on and do an After Dark sort of stream, which you would have seen from me and Brad, me and Supercoach Pro. We love doing our late night streams, especially on the weekends. So it is a weeknight. So it probably is just going to be a quick half of one just to get some hot takes. So I appreciate you joining in, Yaron. Yes, just the legends, all the OGs. Well, this is the thing though. Hendo is actually looking like a decent rookie because I think Spargo goes out before him when Pickett's back. He's just better overall. I mean, I'm not a D's boy by any sense, but don't clip that. It's After Dark. It's a hot take. I don't think it hurts missing him as much as like it would hurt missing a Lindsay, for example. But like, what else can I do here? Because Stewart's probably not going to play. He's probably going to be gone for 2 weeks, and that's being generous. If it's PCL in any way or form, 2 weeks is probably generous. Pez is Pez. So, I mean, he's got to go. And then Foss, we can use the cash. There's a situation where I get a Connor O'Sullivan in instead, and then move Pryor down to Bice. But then, and I get a Callahan in the center. So let's just play this game where I bring in Callahan. And essentially what we're doing is, who else would we bring in? We get in the Dale. And then we get in Connor O'Sullivan, which again, I'm not sold on the Sullivan pick. So this would be a reluctant trade-in, more importantly. But if we did something like this, for example, this is what we're looking at. I don't like it. I don't like it. Because then Pryor's probably going to Bice. Then we've got 2 on field and defense. We've only got 3 on field and mids, but mids is where the good rookies are. And then we could potentially go a Horn Francis to Smith. Or potentially, depending on how much cash Pepper makes with Kako and Sardis, could boost again. But I miss out on Hendo's price rise. So I can't get a 99 unless it's like an Edwards down here to make it work. But I'm probably thinking like something needs to change. I can't get Baz in if I need to. So I'm not a big fan of this one. Yaron, yo, Matthew, welcome back in. Jonas, he is working. He's doing his late night shift. I don't think I've heard from him at any point. Let me see if he's... Nah, I think he's working. Unfortunate. What you get when you do shift work. And Cheese, you have. I've seen you bump through like 3 different streams now. My first one, I'm not sure if anyone else is streaming. You're probably actually in the members one for Center Bounce, I imagine. And then you've gone Insider. Crazy. Matthew's crying about trading homes last round. Yeah, that's... Oh, trading in homes. I don't think that's a bad trade-in. Greyhound got bitten this Arvo, straight to the vet, and then crashed. He's all good, thank you. Oh, all right. Well, that's unfortunate about your Greyhound, but I'm glad he's all good. I hope everyone is okay. It can be very stressful owning a dog and having those situations arise. So, very stressful. Jeez, Callahan has been tempting me 2 Wiggles in 2 weeks, I think. Break even is 0, but he's a guy you'll just have to trade out again, right? Well, this is the thing, though, with Callahan is I think people are hoping that he's a keeper. So you're trading him in and hoping he pushes out like a 105 average, which will lock him into what? An emergency M8 for a while? I mean, it's pretty good. But it just depends. Like, he's going to get some attention at some point. I'm not really sure where he sits. But yes, we're all very happy that everything's okay with Yaron's Greyhound. Josh says thoughts on Joel Frazier. I don't hate it. I think it's a bit trappy just because without those high impact moments in the last quarter of both his games, he would have been about 80-ish, maybe 85 at best, which again is still better than keeping an on-field rook by all means. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Might need a free midfield spot next week for Hall. Yeah, look, that's fair. That's fair. That's what I mean is like midfield's where we're getting our rookies, and I don't necessarily hate going 4-4 with the midfield just because we've got good scoring rookies to kind of cover for now, which is why I think it's better to bolster up the forward and defensive line where we're really struggling. I mean, Bice is probably the only savior. I don't even think Connor O'Sullivan reaches that point just yet because he's only done it once, whereas Connor O'Sullivan played a full game almost in his first game and got like 45. Bice came in as a sub and scored more. Like, there's a lot more faith behind Bice. What are we doing with Sardis? I am probably holding him for now and using him as a loop next week just because it's best 18. Never going to have a blinder this week. I hope so. After what he did this week, he needs to. Need him to give us a ton. And just not leave bloody clangers. Leave them at home or something. Don't do anything with it. So, Jonas traded Sardis and O'Sullivan last week. Happy up Earth and Melee. Yep, that's pretty solid. Hopefully you didn't hurt not having the points missed from Sardis. Yaron, Golden Retriever, and Staffy mostly chain treats. Ah, damn. Yeah, that's annoying. That sucks to hear, Yaron. Very unfortunate. I just have heard a lot of channels not rate homes for some reason. Look, it's just because he hasn't done what we want him to do before as well. And like that's the same with Callahan. Like it's these more glass half empty looks because I mean at that price you got Holmes and you got a Dale. What's Holmes pushed out? He's pushed out a max of what, 120s, I think? I think he scored a 120 last game. 122, 125. That's pretty decent. Like, it's pretty decent. And he scored 91 with a tag. There is a bit of, like, soft tissue injury concern as well. The concern is that if there is a tag, it's probably going to go Holmes. And I wouldn't say Windhanger is, like, the best tagger at the same time. Like, if you send Jordan... I saw what Jordan did to Neil, for God's sakes. Like, it's crazy. So, I still don't mind the Holmes pick. I think the DPP is very useful. Same with Sinclair. Does he finish top 6? Probably not, but within the top 10, I'd imagine. Do I think Sardis will be given a game after Parrish gets played? Listen to both Brad Scott and Merritt. It seems like he won't be back in the best 22 once everyone is fit. Well, that's the major concern, and that's like the writing on the wall, isn't it? That we kind of knew for a while now that Parrish was coming back. And there's also Setterfield, like Jonas touches on Settermutts here. And it's also the fact that I don't think Brad Scott knows what he's doing and where to find the balance at the moment with giving the young guns a bit of a run. Like, will Reed get dropped with Ridley in the team? Or will Fryer get dropped? Like, Ridley's coming back this week, most likely. He's fit to play. So, like, we could lose one of our Essendon rookies. So, as much as I want Callahan, I think I need a miss because I need to bolster up my defensive line, which kind of sucks. So, I wanted Callahan since preseason. So, O'Driscoll might be our way to there because, as Joshua mentions here, Hayden Young is back in 1 week. I think Nod keeps a spot for sure, but does he get the CBAs that we wanted? Probably not. I think he will regress in scoring most likely because the points are going to come from somewhere. It kind of has to be O'Driscoll. It kind of has to be Nod. So I think Nod, we get one price rise. We watch 1 week with Hayden Young back in the team and see how we go. Cheese. Weighing up grabbing Lindsay, Hendo, and Dale to have about 200k for next week, or going with what is probably a certain top 6 in Sinclair, Murphy, Reed, and Lindsay for about 96k, which would you prefer? Let's have a look. Let's weigh this up. So you get a must-have in Lindsay in either scenario. Ooh. Yeah, so in either scenario, you get Lindsay, so that's good. The difference is you get Hendo over Murphy Reed. I'll probably rate Hendo over Murphy Reed, although there is no guarantee. Again, we're not in the coach's box, so we don't really know. Do we know that Hendo keeps his spot with Pickett back? Is someone else lose their spot like a Spargo? There's a few things that we probably need to confirm. But given that Hendo's a 99K rookie and he's got a very low break even. So for example, let's have a look because I'm more importantly probably going to go Foster Hendo irrespectively over a Reed just because I want to utilize that cash because there is a big difference what you can do with the cash going from a Henderson to a Murphy Reed. But his break even is negative 71. So he's going to go up to about a 130. So he's pretty much going to go up to Reed's price and then hopefully keep his spot. So we'll see how we go. But I like Henderson over Reed. It's just whether Dale and Sinclair, where you really, draw the line. Because Dale could be top 6 if he maintains form, for sure. But to Sinclair, yes, he's got a 145, but everyone has down games. That's just how it works. Not everyone can score 130s each week, unless he's Orko going back to back, and he might do it again this week. For those that don't have him, that's going to hurt massively. So glad I started him. But look, I think at the moment, I'm more inclined to say go Dale because I think at the moment, cash is king. And if you want Baz, was it saying you want 200K for next week? I think having 200K in the bank is like a break glass in emergencies perfect. Because it means you could, I'm not sure if you have Baz or not, Cheese, but it means you could grab like a Sal Pepper if you still have him. He's probably going to top over the 200 mark with his cash rise. That's an easy upgrade to Baz plus cash left over, for example. And yes, as Faded Pigeon says, Sardis is out this week, so we can't play him. So what I'm going to be doing is moving, let's just complete this first. We're going to move Henderson on field and then Henderson down to flex and move Lindsay into the midfield. So then Sardis is sitting on the bench. We'll see what happens. Next week he's got the bye, so we can loop him and see what things arise. Clay Hall might be an option we can move Sardis down to. What is Clay Hall's price? Yeah, 129. So we can get a bit of cash off that. He's got a nice break even. Scored an 88. My question is just on job security with Graham coming back into the team because he is a test for this week. Ant Gorn is in flex. I want an R2, Cherry and TDK. Do I trade Gorn, Bly, and Foss to Whitfield? I'm going to say, is that Callahan? And someone for... I'm assuming by Finn you mean Callahan and then someone for 428. Not sure who was at that price. It depends what field you're looking at. If you can tell me if that confirmation is Finn Callahan, and then if you got 428, what field you're probably looking at, because that will pretty much dictate where you can spend that money. Jonas, I'll make you feel better. This is my backline. Sheasel, Zorko, Roberts, Milera, Bice, Free, Trainer, Leak. I do feel better. You're right. Thanks for that, Jonas. We've got Proficient, contemplating trading Gorn out, can then upgrade Short for Whitfield and Gorn down to Rankin. What do you think? Well, it depends. Is Gorn in your flex? Is he R1, Yeah, be your R1 or in flex. It depends on who your R1 and R2 are when you get Gorn out. I don't mind going down to Rankin, though. Thoughts on Paul Curtis or Jai Simpkin? I think all North players just had a really good game on the weekend. So everyone's probably getting some eyes and attention that they normally wouldn't get. I would probably wait on both. Jai Simpkin can come good and he can do quite well, but I think we need to see a more consistent thing from both. I don't even know if Paul Curtis has ever been Supercoach relevant, in my honest opinion. George Woodlaw is still a couple of weeks away, correct? I'm not sure who that affects more. It might affect Power more than anyone else. Jai Cardwell, yes. sneaky pick after the bye. And this is the thing, right? What happens if after the bye, Callahan's gone to 550, but you got Caldwell sitting there at 500? Because I'm pretty sure that's his price. Yeah, about 500. You got some rookies that have made some good cash rises. I don't actually mind the idea. Easy. I don't have Baz, but 200 pay per se. Give me an easy avenue for Corey Warner to Baz in 2 weeks. I like it. I like the idea you have 200k because even if Baz doesn't get up and doesn't play, that 200k can be used in any way or form that you need it to. Plus, you also give your rookies that you currently have better opportunity to make you cash. Caldwell 1 to start doesn't present the same value as he goes up in cash next week and has the buy. Well, that's true. That's one thing I did not consider as Caldwell will go up in price. So, what is predicted though? What is predicted? Go on, Supercoach. What do we got? So, yeah, he's probably going to be sitting around the same price point as Callahan. That's interesting. That's definitely one to watch. Keys, maybe. I don't know. It's hard going like dependent forwards just because they have their high games and down games. Like how many? I'll open up another tab. Let me get the DFS stats up for that game. Just quickly. Just so we can look at keys. I'm aware you guys can't see, by the way. I'm just getting up his details. All right. So, keys. 4 goals. What happens when you take away the 4 goals? What's he scoring? Why we don't like dependent forwards. Because they don't kick goals, they don't score well. Proficient, going in flex, awesome. That's what I love to hear. So, let me go back to your previous one. So trading Gorn out, yep. And then upgrade Short to Whitfield. Love that. And then Gorn down to Rankin. Yep, I have no issues with that trade whatsoever. I think that's a solid move. Solid use of cash. Anthony S. Fincallanan, I can get anyone from any line with the DPP I have. How much did you have? Let's just double check this. You have 428. Have a look. Let's just move this down to... We'll go about 430. Let's just go the average. I mean, the obvious one is probably Smith. You haven't got Smith, but a lot of people started Smith. So you have Smith. Who else can you pick up? Graham's probably not a bad shout if he comes out this week and goes swinging. Humphreys doesn't look too bad, but what happens with Flanders in the team? You probably already have Daniel. Wouldn't look at... I mean, Darcy's probably not a bad shout. He is forward dependent, but he's kicking an absolute ass. Geez, there's not many options. You could take a risk on Ward. I'd honestly just get a good rook and bank the cash for a rainy day at this point. Unless, like, if you're having to field them, if you're missing one of the must-have rookies, I'd be getting those guys in. Otherwise, I'm not really sure who you get. There's no one really putting their hand up for that sort of cash. It's just not enough, for anyone decent. Are you planning on bringing in Baz next week? I feel like I'm going to have to. I don't feel like there's much of a choice if he comes out and goes, does another ton. I'm just worried about his durability now because that's what I was worried about to start the season. That's why I didn't bring him in. And then he went and did a 140. I was like, okay. But it turns out in the last quarter, he carried the calf injury, which then saw him out last week. He is a test to play this week, but he did not train today. So he may not actually even play this weekend along with Stewie. So it could be a few things that maybe force me to keep waiting on Baz, which I don't actually hate because it means everyone else doesn't have him and probably trades him out. Do you think I should get Dale in for Short or Day out for Miller? You talking about Took Miller? That's a crazy choice. I'd 100% go Dale over Miller. Miller's good. I had Miller last week and it was last season. It was an absolute headache. Absolute headache. Saligo. I actually don't mind the Saligo pick too much. I'm just worried about the rotations over at Adelaide, just because they have like a really strong midfield. You've got who have you got running through there? You got some Peatling, you got some Draper, you've got Rankin, you've got Dawson, you've got Crouch. Who else am I forgetting? There's another one I'm forgetting as well. But he's played well. 114, 108. His cash will go up against North. I mean, what they're projecting a 99. Let me have a look at the CBAs to see what what the balance is at the moment, because that's going to be like the factor that we look at with Adelaide. So Saligo, first two, sitting around that 50% mark, and he's done a ton. Does this hold, or are we going to see Rakin get more? But that probably comes off Peatling, maybe. Interesting. I definitely like seeing Dawson in there more. I don't mind this Lego pick. I don't mind it. I think it's a pod. Want to take the risk on it? Go for it. I don't hate it. Just be careful about some down games when they mix up their midfield mix and rotations. They will go up. Saligo's price will go up next week. After this week. Baz is still a question mark. He's still a test to play. Didn't train today. Yeah, don't get keys. He loves playing Essendon. Let's have a look. Once he's passed a few scores against Essendon. I even see that now. Probably not. 135. Give me... Let's have a look at last season. What are you talking about, Cheese? He's got a 64 last season. Oh, then a 158. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, look, maybe he just loves kicking goals, kicking bags on the Dons. Just looking at this one here. 158. So, decided to use my first boost. Yeah, I feel like most people are boosting this week, Aaron. JF, Horny Man and Lindsay, Data Callahan, and then for a further trade, if Baz plays, I could upgrade any failed or non-playing rookie. I love that, Aaron. That's definitely a good escape plan, essentially. Bank the cash, move on from a Horny Man. I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it. I think he can bounce back, but we'll see. Libba, I feel like you don't bring Libba in. I feel like if you started Libba, that's the only time you would have scrapped him, is you started with him. I don't think you trade into him. Like, again, any week he can cop a head knock and he might be pushed to an early retirement. So while he's playing good, yes, I think we just kind of have to stomach it as a mispick more than anything. Just saw Paul Curtis, yep. If Hasty doesn't play and Lindsay as my emergency goes 70 plus, I'll keep Dane for a loop around 4. Then his nice run starts. Yeah, I think that's really good thinking ahead, though. I know Skodfather was looking at holding Day for that long, but if he's just not it's just a really tough start with the tags. But if you have a way of just, being able to minimize the damage, I don't hate it. Cheese, so we go 31% forward time. It could get cheeky. Getting cheeky. Who would you trade out Baz for? Well, here's the thing. If I do a similar trade so let's just say I get Stewart out, I get Perryman out, I get Boss down to Henderson still. I don't have too much cash left over. So we'll look at this sort of scenario. So an easy one is Stewart to Dale. It's literally like 7K difference. And then it may not be the lock that I do, but it's probably going to be. And as I get in Naz, I'm left with 600. Now, my math may not be mathing. So let's just keep that in mind here. Pryor's probably going to go up. I hope he scores more than a 31. Let's just say he goes to a 50. Probably going to make maybe 22, 23, maybe 25K, which gets him just under 200K. Trade him down to Bice. Bank some cash. Sardis, move him down to someone, whoever puts their hands up. Pepper will be at the over 200 mark, in which I'm hoping I can then get Pepper up to Baz. That's my thoughts. That's how I get Baz. without having to ruin my structure. Because then it means I'm 4, 5, 4, and 5 in regards to like keepers. So will that work? Probably not, because it never works. But it's what I'm thinking. Jonas, rookie coach, me invited over shorties yet. He said he does not clean up or vacuum for guests, but enjoys alone time. I haven't though. I haven't. I haven't really spoke to Shorty all too much outside of when he does his streams. The only people I've really spoken to are the Set Abounce boys and Brad, and just a couple here and there. So, but Shorty's an absolute. He's a funny man. Dale and Clark top 6 because I traded Day and Short to them this week. I think they're a chance. Definitely. I think they're more of a chance of being top line in their field than Day and Short are in their field. So I love those trades, Travis. I don't think there's any issues with that. Well, it's always ridiculous, Joe. It's not as bad. There's too many. That's the thing with Shorty is there's a lot of stories. A lot. Do you have the Supercoach thing for your I do on my other computer. I have realized tonight that it's not on here. But sometimes it doesn't work at the same time. But I will get that installed on here. It is currently on my laptop though. Oh goodness. Shorty stories are just screaming their way through the Supercoach community. I love it. Current defensive line, we've got Shees, Whitfield, Zorko, Sinclair, Roberts, and Reed. Actually, don't mind that. That's a big, strong 4. And then Roberts and Reed. I love that. That's actually a really solid backline, Jordan. Traded out Perryman for Day and Whitfield and Sinclair. Solid, mate. I don't think he can make any better trades. That's so good. Thoughts on Salem? He's injury prone, but has 2 tons. Might be affected when I'm assuming that means May, when May comes back. Well, that's the thing, right? Is we were kind of discussing this in the earlier stream. Does Bowie or Salem look like options around that Perryman price? May will come back and probably most likely influence Salem because Bowie or Bowie, whoever you say his name, still had kick-ins with May in the team. But they're neither of them, they're not keepers. You're moving on, for I'm assuming like a Perryman to another risky mid-pricer, essentially, for another stepping stone. And you're going to be using more trades just for that D5 position or 4 position that you would have loved. I'm not a fan of going down. I want, if you can go up to a Dale or even an Amon. Get Amon in your team. Suck up the buy, use bias as cover. I feel like even that's a better chance of working out for you than going down to like a Salem or a Bowie. Yeah, the Hoyman is a pain to watch. And look, I think we were all pretty hot on it to start with that he's going to be top 6. I don't think we've seen it. I think Dylan Moore's got a better chance of being in the top 6 than the Horny Man at the moment if he doesn't decide to actually put it in the right gear and stop trying to fight everyone. Sheasel does need a lift. I see a lot of people are actually trading out Sheasel. Currently got 1.6%. I wonder, this 1% thing never really works so early. This is interesting. So even some 1% coaches are trading out Sheasel. And the Horny Man. People do not like the Horny Man. Shout out to the 30 odd people that are here. Thank you so much for joining me on a Supercoach After Dark. Oh, I'll just take out my mic. I understand it's a weeknight. We're not going to be here for too long. I just wanted to jump in while I've got the free time and just talk absolute hot takes and answer any questions I wasn't able to get to in the earlier stream. So appreciate you being here. Don't forget to give it a like, give it a subscribe. Getting close to that 500. Someone get less kick-ins would say, yep, beautiful. So you react to them. Well, you kind of just got that. But let's do it. Let's go all coaches. The Horny Man is being traded out by 10,000 people. Jesus. I didn't expect it to be that much. I thought maybe it'd be like maybe 3%, maybe around the 5K trade outs, but 10. There are a lot of people that are frustrated. I mean, rightly so. Let's not get it twisted. And I also know a lot of people didn't want to start Horny Man, but they kind of had to because of his ownership. That's crazy. What's his projection to lose money though? I mean, like, look what he's done on Bombers before. That's crazy. He's going to go down to, like, is he going to lose this much cash? That's crazy. There's about 50K drop in cash. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I do drop Horny Man, just go straight to Smith if he plays, because then I can get Clark and Dale in my back line. We'll see. Stardust makes complete sense. Sheasel, there is logic behind it. Don't get me wrong, because some people didn't want to start Sheasel, but they didn't feel safe antipoding him just in case preseason was a warning shot of like the 120. Makes sense. Gorn makes sense at the same time. Like again, like these primo trade outs for Horny Man, Sheasel, and Gorn, they make sense because Horny Man probably makes way for a Finn Callahan or a Baz. Sardis makes way for a Lindsay or a Henderson. Cheezel makes way for a Zorko if you haven't got him, or a Whitfield or a Sinclair or a Dale if you've already got like, Sinclair or Zorko. Gorn obviously makes way for Big X or even, I don't even know if you go to anyone else. You'd just go to the man that gave him a bath, who washed him down. You give him to Sherry, which only really opens up about 35K. So it's not necessarily a move to get cash, but it's just a move to correct than anything. And Trainer is fair enough because he's going to be a very, very slow burn. So we'll see. Most traded in players. This I have a problem with. I feel like a lot of people are going to get burnt because job security isn't necessarily confirmed or concrete. So you might get one price rise out of him and then have to move him on, potentially. Same with Freya or Fraser, however you want to say his name. Could be a trap, but again, they're just looking for. I'm assuming this is like downgrade options from a Perryman if you're still held, and then you're using the cash to go elsewhere and upgrade some other line, which I don't mind. But how many trades are you going to use in that one, D5 position just to get a keeper? Callahan makes perfect sense. Nothing more logical. Connor Rosie, nothing like these last three. I have no problems with. The probably one I would. Do you give Gorn another shot? Yes, he's got Wits, but he's got Geelong next after Wits. Cherry is clearly just R1 for the year. Do you just say you were wrong and trade out Gorn? I mean, if I trade out, here's the thing: I want Henderson, but it means that there's just so many things. God damn it, we need Henderson to help with the back line, but if we move. We'll have a play with that. We'll have a play. But these top five, I have no issues with. Walsh could be, yep, interesting. Ashcroft so Ashcroft is probably going to get forward DPP, which would be nice. As I said, definitely will get that installed. Probably seems most obvious move to Bice next week. Yeah, I definitely agree. But yeah, Cheese hates the Spud, but we need more games out of him. I really want Baz F5, unsure about it. Yeah, this is the thing, right? Is like if you can find a way to keep the Horny Man and then get Baz in at F5, I think you're absolutely set. I think that's perfect because then you're going, 5, 5, and 4. And then you got your 1 and 2 and your rucks most likely. Because I'm assuming if you had Flynn, you've probably got Cherry in there now. But that's the problem. That's the problem. How are we getting there? How are we doing it? If my maths, then I'm fine. I'm just worried my math doesn't math. Tom Green or Crouch for Supercoach? McLovin, how you doing, mate? Thanks for coming in. That's a great question. I'm probably going to go Green. I think Crouch has a time on ground issue from what I hear about it. 6 months ago, walking to my unit, I hear a familiar voice on the TV. It was Shorty. His mate was on deal or no deal. Can't escape Shorty. He's everywhere. Don't mind the JHF trade out, honestly, though I'm usually against it, but Essendon this week sucks ass. If he scores bad again, then he's got to go. Well, this is my thing, right? This is why I don't mind holding Horn Francis, because my break glass scenario was if he does poorly against Essendon, he's out for Baz anyway. I get Baz on the bubble, Horny Man's out of my team, I bank cash, which then means I can do something else or save it for a rainy day. So that's like my break glass scenario. Whether that has to happen or not is another thing. And yeah, a lot of people have scored the Jordan tag around 4. He definitely could bleed a lot of cash. Watch Horn Francis get 130. It could happen. 2,000 coaches trading at that much. Oh, man. Jeez. Every fifth comment's got to do something with your clothes. Makes me worried. He scored well and the game was on the line. Yeah, he did. He did. He definitely did. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not a hit on O'Sullivan as a player and his playing ability. I think he's great. I think he'll be able to do a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's just more so is the opportunity there. It's very much like a Sardis. Like, is the opportunity there for them to actually get the time on ground that we need them to do all that fun stuff? And I don't. It's hard because I think Colo's ahead of him. If Stewart plays, then obviously he's back there. But if Stewart doesn't play, I think SDK swings back. Like there are chances that he sticks and he goes. So that's the risk you're going with when you take Connell O'Sullivan. So we'll see how we go. Do we reckon? Look, as an owner, I hope he does because I don't want to have to trade him out. I'll undo these trades again. As an owner, I hope he does because I will take the cash hit if he can play. The issue is if he plays this early after what would be considered a PCL scare or minor injury, what happens if he does it again? Or because he is already kind of injured, is he going to play more passively and not provide the scores? So at this stage, it's looking like a trade out, unfortunately, because he was my like content pick. I loved him. I was on him for a while. I didn't see many content creators talk about him, and then yeah, just Stewart does my head in. That's exactly right. What's the top 10% doing? Good question. Let's have a look. So Finn makes sense. Sardis makes sense. Pyramid makes sense. Waterman and Shees still. So a lot of people are more leaning towards probably getting a Shees to a Zork. I imagine it's probably the most common trades that are happening. So let's confirm this. Traded out for there you go. They're going. Shees is getting traded out for a Dale, a Zorko, or a Sinclair, which makes sense. What's Hornyman doing? So the McRae, some 600 people didn't have McRae. Did you guys just this is a public service announcement to the 600 people that didn't have McRae. Did you just start? Crazy. Lindsay, like these make sense from a like cash perspective. Rankin is probably the best one, if not Smith or Callahan. Jai Simpkin ahead of Callahan though. I think and Chandler. Oh my goodness. Okay, these two. Good luck to you. That's not going to work. Let's see. This is probably going to what wins. Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay, Sullivan, Henderson, O'Driscoll. It's a rookie correction or it's an upgrade. Bin. Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. And what are the top 1%? I imagine the 5% are at least similar to the 10. Yeah, if not the same. Top 1% are just trading out Sardis over Sullivan a little bit more. They probably already don't have Sardis. Probably already got rid of him. Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. Definitely Perryman though. That makes 100% sense. Yeah, and that's exactly right though. Is I imagine that some that are trading out Gorn had him sit him in like they were sitting him in the flex, which meant that they have the ability to restructure, not necessarily have to recorrect R1 and R2, which is probably why I'm hesitant to do it, is because I wanted to set and forget this outside of putting TDK up to Sherry. Because that was in the initial plan is I lock in Gorn. It is what it is. And then get decoding out to Sherry. Jonas has many good points. Henderson will still be cheap enough after around price. I'll be happy to pay if I do a second trade next week, Bias being the first. Valid point, Yaron. What's his price expected to go up to? I know you can't really trust these predictions. And yes, I will get the extension installed before next stream. So what's he gonna make? Maybe 50K? But then you make 150K for him to get. It's just the return. Like you pay 99 and then you can potentially make almost 100K off him. Or you pay 150-ish K and then get 30K. I don't, um, you know, I don't see the value in going a Henderson in the second week, unfortunately. Corey, don't forget, it's Connor O'Sullivan's 4th game ever this week coming up. Yeah. Yeah. And look, a lot of people are like, oh, you just got like Rising Star. Like, not going to drop him, blah, blah, blah. Weirder things that happened. Let's be very honest. And that's exactly right. That's why that's why people were making it clear that Salem's probably the second option there, that you have Bowie or Bowie ahead of Salem if you're going to go there, because he does score well with May in the side, whereas Salem doesn't. I personally don't have any interest in Simkin. I think we've got clearer outliers that can be ahead. Do you reckon it's good trading the horny one for 2 primos, Perryman, Sinclair, Darnest, Callahan? It depends, but how light is your forward line going to be then? I mean, I know it's probably best 18. You're probably going to get Baz in next week, but if that's not in your trade plans, then I'd be scared. So as long as you're looking to get Baz in next week if he plays, then awesome. But if Baz doesn't play, then what? Then what? Uncle, what's it? Welcome in. Late night, people. 30 people odd in ya. Nearly 12 p.m. Very happy. Very happy. Good turnout. Somehow they're still in the top 10%. Yeah, exactly. What would you do with Petrarca if you had him? Could go down to a Finn to pocket the cash or go up to Dunkley. Go to Finn. Go to Finn. Cash can be utilized in so many better ways. I think Dunkley's great, don't get me wrong, but I think you kind of had to start him purely for the Sydney tag game, which is what I did. Yes, they've got an easy run, but unless Neil is tagged, but I don't believe we're going to see Dunkley outscore him, which is fine. I didn't bring him in to outscore Neil, or I did, but over the season, not definitely in the early fixture, just because I have a really easy fixture to start with. So I would go to Callahan. I think most would suggest that, but Dunkley's still good. You can't go wrong with any of those options, to be fair. So I would say Callahan just because you can use the cash elsewhere. Trading Stewart and the Horny Man, both round 12 players. Not so crazy, especially if they're traded for players the later. But yeah. No issues with that at all, Yaron. Murphy Reed for Hasty, don't mind it. You pretty much, if Hasty gets named this week though and is playing, I might hold off on it potentially. But I don't know. I don't know if you've got every other rookie. Sure, I don't mind Murphy Reed. I don't think he's a must by any means. So make sure you got like the Levi's. Make sure you got Lindsay. Make sure you got O'Driscoll. Even Nevitt. I know Nevitt kind of his clang has ruined his potential of making cash quickly, but I still think the role's there and there's nothing wrong with the prospects of what he could do. Keep or trade Will Ashcroft to get a rookie out of the back line when I started with 4 back rookies. I think so. I think if you can get to a 4 and 4 in the midfield to get to a 5-2 in the back line, 5-1, sorry, in the back line, I think that will give you more return and probably safer scores because we can't trust back-end rookies at the moment. And we have a shitload if relevant rounds have players. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'd keep Will Tom as he has 30% forward time at the moment. And that's the thing, right? Is Will Ashcroft could potentially become a forward DPP player, which is pretty nuts. It's again, the cutoff is 35%, if I'm not mistaken. So does he actually get there? We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, scores 36. Yeah. If anything goes like 60, 70, it's more than 50K price rise. It's 36. This is projected this week. Yeah, exactly right. So it's hard. Yeah, that's a fair point, Yaron. You could sideways Kako. I'm potentially thinking about moving Kako down to like an Aiden Johnson to spare up some cash. Does O'Connor go to Neil? Well, this is the thing, right? Jordan did a number on him. I don't think O'Connor can. He'll give him some attention by all means. But does he do enough? Does he like mitigate Neil's impact on Brisbane? I don't think so. Like, I'm not trying to shit on O'Connor as a tagger or anything, but he's not known for being a great tagger, but just giving a soft tag. It's, yeah. I think Geelong sends some attention his way for sure, though. So Dunkley could actually get up, especially if it's like wet and there's meant to be lots of rain. I for sure think that Dunkley can outscore Neil. Fingers crossed, because I need him to. I need to get, reclaim that almost 1,000 ranking point loss that I had. But I'm still in the top 1%, so that's fine. All good, mate. All good. Aaron, I forgot to ask your thoughts on Rashaka. Rest of the season, he becomes a lot more valuable if he gets forward DPP, and then you pick him up. If he doesn't get forward DPP, then I think there's better at the price, which is why I probably think you go to Callahan. Michael, how you doing, mate? Traded Day, Foss and Perry, Memphis and Claire, Callahan and Hendo thoughts. Absolutely love it, mate. They are solid trades. Literally, it's like these trade scenarios that you literally probably can't do any better. Like Sinclair is an absolute solid pick who's probably going to become a bit of a pod. We can probably pick him up cheaper in the season at some point, but for trying to get ahead of the curve and maybe a leg up on the comp, if a Whitfield is the say for people who choose Whitfield instead of Sinclair because they're around that similar price point. It's just awesome. And the DPP on Sinclair is valuable as well. So love those trades, Michael. Jonas, we need a Supercoach TV guide. List all the Supercoach content creators, live streams, release times for other videos can be uploaded from. Honestly, Jonas, it is a bit like that because I had my stream earlier and then I was like, oh, I'll do a After Darks thing, which I'll just call it After Darks just because. And I'll do them on Saturday nights as well when I can with good old Supercoach Pro. But when I did all my chores and stuff, I had to pretty much go to bed at a reasonable time at some point. The insider mob were doing it. I was like, probably not going to go great because there was like almost 200 people in there. So like, I'll wait till they're finished and hop on and see who's still around. Just because I've got nothing to do. I've got a free house. No chores, no commitments for the night. So might as well hop on and talk Supercoach. Lions likely to play a small 4-line this week with Cameron and Loman back in wet weather. Yeah. So also good to consider that with like the weather side of things. It's been touched on a few times. Does that mean Zorko doesn't score as well? Does that mean Dunkley goes up in scoring because he's more of a tackler than Neil, which is what aids him, is he doesn't need possessions to score well. He can make up the difference in tackling. We've got Sar saying Humphrey from Gold Coast is an interesting forward option. It is. It definitely is because he's been getting some CPA time. However, I am concerned / worried about what happens when Flanders comes back into the side. Does he push him out? And then does that, bump up that we've seen in Humphrey go? I think I called it in one of the preseason or round 0. I think we're a year too early on Humphrey. And I think I'll stick to that comment. We've gone Foss to Nod, Laylord to Henderson. Beautiful. Love it. I think Nod is an absolute must. And yeah, if you started Lalo, I think that's a solid trade in. If you traded him in, yeah, just move the cash anyway. I think that's solid. Can't do anything wrong. Cheese. Thank you, mate. You have stuck around for more than what you should have. Appreciate you jumping in both streams and just being a real OG. So have a good rest. Find some clean clothes for tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll see you in another stream at some point this week. Exactly, Uncle. He was meant to leave half an hour ago. He probably shouldn't have been on. I'm surprised he hasn't got a app time limiter on his phone. He probably needs it. Tom, thoughts on Fraser? I don't mind it if you really need to move cash elsewhere to fix some holes. So if you're moving like a Perryman down to a Fraser, I don't mind it. Just be worried that it could be a trap. Because without those high impact plays I've said this line so many fucking times tonight. Without those high impact plays in the last quarter of each game, he would have gone about a 70 to 80. So just keep that in mind and make that your expectation. Like if I bring in Dale, I'm expecting 115s, not the 120s, not the 140s that we've seen. Loki, welcome back in. Whitfield and Zorko or Whitfield in Sinclair. What about Sinclair and Zorko? Because that's the combo I think is better, in my opinion. It's different. It's potty in a way or form. Could help separate you, but also if it doesn't work, could be the reason that you drop back. So I personally like the Sinclair pick. I do. So we'll see how we go. Michael, could be ruck roulette at West Coast this week. I feel like it's just havoc. It's absolutely havoc. If you guys saw the Centre Bounce review crew stream last night, you would have seen Supercoach God have a little moment talking about Flynn. So, look, I think it's really annoying how they just can't commit to a ruck. Like, do they bring Flynn back in, or do they now bring, say, Williams back in, but then put Flynn forward because Archer Reed scored 9? Like, yeah, it's whatever. It's hard to gauge. Jonas, you and Brad should merge channels. Bro, go Supercoach. For those that weren't watching the last stream me and Brad did, we talked about nicknames we got given like in sports growing up, and one of mine was Goldilocks. Because I had longer, like not as long as this, but I had, long hair as a kid as well. And I just got called Goldilocks because it was just gold. It's that blonde hair. Very funny. Do you reckon Clary is worth a VC shout this week? I'm currently weighing up the Cray VC into a Zorko or Sarong. Ooh. I mean, we're only really considering it because he did pump out a 130. Previous scores do say he's in for a big game. I don't hate it. I think if majority go McRae VC and you want to point a difference to try to help separate you, like if you think that McRae is going to be a failed VC, and then I think Sarong is a very safe captaincy option against West Coast, so definitely keep that as your backup. I don't hate going different with your VC. Like that's what it's generally there for. If you follow the pack, you're going to get the same results. You're not going to really move. If you do your unique VC to try and capture an extra 10, 15 points, I think Oliver's a great shout for this week. Definitely a great shout. Who needs sleep when you're a Supercoach DJ? Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's exactly what I have become. Just a Supercoach DJ. Now, like these like Tuesday trade talk streams and the After Dark ones, there is not going to be any consistency to them. There's just going to be when I'm available. The After Dark might be on a Saturday, and it may even be on Brad's channel, or it may be on my channel. You just got to go around the merry-go-round until you find me, basically. Jonas, West Coast will be running a 2 duds setup. Yep, literally. It's not an R1 and R2. It's a dud 1 and dud 2. Who got a Baz? Paramount to Bowie, Sardis to Lindsay, any good? I don't mind it. I definitely think Baz is probably a good shout. Just keep an eye out to make sure he does actually play this week. Otherwise, you're going to be popping the donut if you don't have backups. But it is best 18, so yeah, we'll go from that. Perryman to Bowie, don't mind it. Again, you're going from mid-pricer to mid-pricer, so you're going to need to spend another trade to get Bowie out to a keeper at some point. The only one I would lock in out of that is Sardis to Lindsay. The other one I'm not locked into a Perryman to Bowie, but if you need the cash, by all means. And if Baz doesn't play, you probably need to make a second trade plan just to make sure you're safe. Why did the pod go off last night over Flynn? It wasn't even really Flynn. It was just more the West Coast Eagles and the coaching staff about what they're doing. So, and God started Flynn at R2. He played the risk and he lost. Jack, he's back. Also able to send you my team on Twitter for some advice on what trades to do. Of course, mate. Of course. If you send a message, it will come up as a message request, I believe. But you got to let me know what your Twitter handle is so I can follow you back if I'm not already doing that. So that way you can send it to me. So definitely do that, Jack. I prefer Sinclair over Dale, but went Dale so I can afford Bailey Sniff. Yeah. And that's probably what most people are doing is like cash wise, it's the most logical way of getting Smith in next week is to go Dale this week. So I think that's fine. Just asking to type in your team name, check it out. I mean, that's true. That is very true. We can do that. Flynn is R2, always fraught with danger. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what I mean. Like some people, you got to start risky. You got to start the risk, and some people really start the risk. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It looked like it was working with a like 81 or something. They did enough, and they were on their high horse, and then he gets dropped. They changed their minds pretty quickly. Startup Tracker 78 worries me. Yeah, it's tricky. If you have Track, I'd still hold him. I don't think I'd look to trade him out. I think Melbourne just had a bit of a lost game. It's just one of those things. Team name is Gaynor for Rainer. All right. This team better exist, Jonas. It sure does. All right. So, I don't know why it's not going to show me on this one. We got Sheasel, we got Zork, we got Roberts. Yep, Short, Bice, love it. Brayshaw, Richards, love it. Rosie, Oliver, Driscoll. Yep. I see no issues at the moment. Besides a Patton, Boyd, Fight, and Garcia. So really, Garcia and Patton and Short are probably the fires to put out. What are you wanting to do with them more than anything? Because you could put, because you've already got Bice. So what's the go with Patton? Are you going to move him into somewhere like what? Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jack? Give me your thoughts, mate. We'll get back to that. Short to Freya, and then hold short, or hold short for St Kilda. Well, I actually don't mind the hold. I don't mind the hold at all, because you could essentially go short to Baz if you don't have it. I think either are great options. It just, if you go short down to Freya, how else are you using that cash this week? So that's probably the other question I'd ask back to you. Michael, yeah, but Freo only running with Jackson and Reedy, so it's a nil or draw. Well, that's true. Well, this is the main. This is why some people brought in Jackson at 500k. Is if he has these dud matchups, Jackson should be the one that comes up on top and destroys them all. But everyone, yeah, exactly. Everyone's going to look up that team name. Dodgy, thank you. Glad you're loving it. Gordon and Sherry is my ruckman. Well, that would have been an interesting week for you watching them go head to head. Do I fix my mistake of Gorn for DeConning or trust Gorn will score more than DeConning once Pitnet comes back? I think overall, it's probably going to be Gorn that comes up above TDK if/when Pitnet comes back. I don't know if you need to have the alarm bells for Gorn yet. I'm curious as to why we haven't started TDK, but fair enough. Track for dual player position. Now, I'm going to see if I can find the information on Twitter, because it was here somewhere. Let me find it, because he was close. Come on. I literally had it up before too. Okay. So I don't think Track's done enough. I don't know what I'm trying to find what his actual percentage is at the moment without having to go into pay extra for the Code Sports kit, but he's not there yet. He is not there. I think, yeah. I can't find it. I had the post earlier before. Like Chad Water and Zach Merritt are more likely to become DPP. I think it's just because Track had like 80% CBAs last week. 31 rings a bell, actually. Yeah, 31% rings a bell. So I don't think it's too close. What do we got here? Click rankings, then his team name, and his team name comes up in position. Oh, where am I? Look at rankings. Jonas. Very good. Very good. See, hey, to be fair, guys, rookie coach. Need I say less? Garcia needs to go for someone. Patton is dead rook on the bench. Not sure if I should hold short. Foss or Sardis for Henderson is a must. I 100% agree. So I definitely think Foss or Sardis definitely go to Henderson. That's definitely one trade you can lock in. Do we move short on, or do we give him a redemption week against the Saints, which leak points? Given it's best 18, and you probably want to feel like you get something out of short. I'm not against holding him, actually. The more I think about it, the more I'm more in favor of the hold on short. He could spud it up though and just give you another 70. That is a reality. He's done it for you before. And where we got Patton? We got Patton down here for looping. I don't mind holding Patton and using him actually as a loop because it's an it's an option. But like, who would you go to? Like, would you go? I don't think there's enough cash to go Garcia and Patton to Baz. So you need to go like Garcia, Patton, and short potentially, or Pryor. Yeah, I don't know if the maths on that one. Woo! All I know is Garcia needs to go. You could probably move Garcia to like an Aiden Johnson this week if you don't need the DPP from him. Bank the cash. We were going to go Flynn to Baz, but then he was laid out and went Rosie. Now my forward line looks shit. I think Rosie was a great pickup though. Like, I don't think he'd lost out of that. We just need to clean this up. But there's definitely good enough rooks to fix that. Like, I think Aiden Johnson's probably a solid pickup. He got a 6 in his first game. He looks like he's going to be fine job security wise. I think Turner was one that people had questions on. I think he gets dropped as well when Pickett comes back. Yeah. That's a great question. You've got DPP, so you can generate cash from Sardis and O'Sullivan too. I'd say try and bank as much cash as you can. Play short, hold short, unless you can get him up. Like, if you go Sullivan for this instance for max cash, I know it's only like 9K, but if you go Sullivan down to Hendo and then short up, like, who can you get? That would be the only other play. But again, I think for this week, I think you find a hold short. I will go to this question: how to have a work-life balance for Supercoach? The answer is you don't. Very plain and simple. I'll be very tired tomorrow at work, but that's fine. I have a desk job. I'll just have lots of coffee. Yep. Don't, Michael. Very lucky being on the West Coast. Or are you? Because you have the Weagles. Perryman and Clark, you go down to a rookie to make cash. No issues with that whatsoever. Perryman and Clark is an absolute lock of a trade. And then Hugo down to whoever's viable. Yep. Awesome. Yeah, looked at that. Gone instead of TDK because I am stupid. Nah, hey, mate, you learn. You should have seen the trades I was doing last season. I was brave enough to post them as a first yearer, but that's kind of half the fun of what season was me getting involved. Not only as Supercoach for the first year, but also doing the content creation side of things for the first year. So, amazing stuff. You guys, it's nearly 12 a.m. We probably will look to wrap up at 12 because unless you're on the West Coast, we all should follow Cheese and try to get some sleep. Even though I'm probably going to go to bed and put on some Supercoach content because I'm a DGen, but we'll wrap it up here very shortly. So if you got any final questions, just chuck them in the chat. Otherwise, there will be more streams coming. I promise you. They just won't be scheduled. The only scheduled stream I do was on the Centre Bounce channel on Mondays with the review crew for the moment. Yaron, I did maximize my team and put Ben Patton on the buy at flex. Nice. Godfather holding short to drop for Mills. And that's the thing, right? I wish Perryman didn't have the buy or was somewhat viable for 70s because I would hold Perryman just to get him down to Mills when he's ready. I'd love to do that. Short has a break even at 94, backing him in against the Saints, I'm guessing. Not vice versa. Chevalier, yeah, likely plays according to John Ralph. He had a really good VFL game, but if he comes in, does he come in ahead of Hasty? Because that's the consideration too. Yeah. Rest in the off season, exactly right. I'll catch up on my sleep when the season's over. I was looking at doing Will Ashcroft down to Henderson to get Freya in for trainer, then use the cash to go short to Dale. I don't mind it, Tom. There is the consideration that Will Ashcroft is a chance to get forward DPP, so he could become actually quite valuable there. I also don't think it's worth going trainer to Fraser. I'm assuming you're fielding 2 rookies though, if I'm understanding that correct, Tom. Uncle says no. I'm not a big fan of it either. I think there's probably smarter ways to use your trades. Keep Ashcroft. Find another way of getting Henderson in if you really want him. Do you reckon hold Perryman over the buy and focus on cash gen rookies? Oh, great question, actually. Depends who you've got for cover during best 18. You know, what does if you've got Perryman and you've got Roberts, then you've got, like, for me, well, because I've currently got both. So I've got Pryor and Trainer that will need to cover these two spots. That's not ideal because then I'm just hoping I take the top 3 scores and then I hope like hell the rest of my team scores well enough. So depends on your cover. Bias isn't playing, so the best cover available isn't playing. If you got Connor O'Sullivan, you might be okay. If you have to field 2, I'd probably go Pryor and O'Sullivan. Reed just does not look the goods. He looks like an absolute spud getting thrown around like a rag doll. Yeah, I thought you meant Saints. Could go Foster, Henderson, and then short to anyone up to yeah, that's probably just a Dale. There's no one really out there. I mean, what Naz was how much? 443. I mean, you could get Naz as well, but I think Dale's probably clearly ahead of him. Perry Spud has to go. 100% he has to go. He's out of the team. Already used the boost last week, but main thing I probably need is Garcia out. I definitely agree. I don't think most people are going to be using boost this week. So I don't think you're behind if you have to use like a boost last week and this week. Again, like you get an extra trade in the main buy rounds as well. Don't forget. So it's not like you're going to be using them for 4 trades unless you want one boost to have 4 trades in one buy round. It was the same thing for Tom Powell last year. We were a year too early. 100%. So I think that could be the same thing for Humphrey. We could just be a year too early. Coleman could be the perfect rookie upgrade for the Perma D7. That's also true. And with who went down? It was Strotz. I can't remember his bloody name now. They'll come to me. Let me filter through these players. Oh goodness. Where is he? Where is this man that hurt himself because he's out now? Sarcevic. With Sarcevic out, I don't think Coleman affects Zorko. So I think Coleman has a bit more scoring ability then as well. Yeah, Sarcevic. Yep, definitely. Darren, what a legend. Got me there. So yeah, I think Coleman comes in as a good replacement potentially. Obviously, there's going to be some concerns as well. Coleman, Mills, Briggs, plenty of value coming in soon. 100% agree. If you've got, a TDK that, kind of goes back to his 70s, 90s with Pitnet back in the team, I think Briggs is probably a great shout for an option. Went Flynn to SDK last week, didn't look good, so probably another waste to trade. I hate naming trades as wasted, but some of them just don't work out. There was every chance it did work out, but there was also every chance it didn't, just because we saw what was happening with Geelong, and they've made it very well known that they're going to chop him out a fair bit. So we'll see. Jack, Brizzy fan, by the way. I know Coleman comes in. I've been told it won't affect Zorko's role. Inside word from the club. They love Zorko. The Magnificent, as Ab says, down back. Yeah. As I said, I think Zorko was a great starting pick. We've got some Brizzy fans in the house. Very, very good. But yeah, I guess really, let's look at what my most likely and today. So, funny fact, actually, today I played basketball and reffed basketball with his brother because he's originally a Geelong boy. Both him and his brother are Geelong boys, and I actually played basketball with his brother. So when I saw him pop up on Brisbane, I was like, yo, another local boy. Love that. So this is probably what I'm leaning towards for trade-wise for the moment, depending on Stuart news, if he plays or not. I feel like we can't get Clark. We can't get Sinclair. So I feel like I'm just going to have to kind of bite the bullet and go for the next best option and diminish my savings entirely and just hope that my math works out for next week to get Baz in. So this is probably what we're looking at. We're going to field Pryor. Chuck the emergency on Reed in case he does score well, so then we can leave it. Otherwise, pray like hell Trainer does well or better than 36 or whatever Reed scores. We're going to VC McRae and go into Dunks or Zorko depending on weather. Outside of that, we're going to throw Lindsay into the middle for Sardis and then Henderson into the flex. We're going to throw the emergency on Hewitt just in case he does pop off. We're going to field Davidson and Pal Pepper. I don't expect Pepper to do that well, but I expect him to do better than Kako. Although Kako was probably due for a spike game. It's just been a really anticlimactic pick. Good old Kako. For those that are wondering, I am going to hold Sheasel and Gorn for another week. I'm not going to commit to holding Sheasel, Gorn, or Horny Man because that could change if Baz gets up. Just because if Baz does get up, I feel like Horny Man down to Baz makes the most sense. Gorn, I have more faith in, even though he's going to bleed cash. And Sheasel, I'm happy to give, probably just wear him because we're probably going to trade him back in. And at the moment, we have got Zorko and we have got Dale in. Naz can give us some stable scores. We've got Robert. So, like, best 22 wise, we're sitting okay for structure. I obviously would love to get another rookie off field in Ford. But if my break glass is Horny Man to Baz next week if Baz doesn't get up this week. So we'll see how we go. Glad you love those trades. It's probably one I'm going to lean into. I still do love the sneaky Amon pick. It's just that buy that hurts. So if Amon didn't have that pick, I'd be going him just for a pod pick just because I wanted to play differently and have a bit more fun with it this season and see where it ends up. But otherwise, that's it. Yaron, these live streams are invaluable. It's given me a different perspective on my trades now, things I never can say. Yeah, very much appreciated. Thank you so much, Yaron and Jack. I appreciate all you guys that have stuck around for the late night streams. CWT, late night streams. They do actually. I'm a night owl by chance. Like, that's just who I am. So, it's very much within my tool shed to do this sort of thing because I'm already up and at 'em and I don't like sitting down for too long. There's a little bit of ADHD at play here, which is probably why I love Supercoach. So every year Zorko becomes more magnificent. He does. He's like wine. He's aging so fine. But let's just hope he doesn't injure himself. We're going to say that, and he's going to go down this week. Just watch Yaron. And then we're going to have to trade him out. Happy to give up Horny for Baz. Of course, he's a lock in the forward, but that price, yeah. And that's what I mean. The point difference, you're probably going to be getting more points from Baz if it's anything like we saw in round 1. So you don't actually take a points loss. You just bank some cash and then, let the Horny Man just kind of do his thing, start fights, probably join the UFC for a little bit, and then come back to play football in the later half of the season and get him in for cheaper. Flog of a blow. Yeah, look, we're not going to talk about his character, but damn, he's a good footballer. All right, guys, we have gone 1 minute past 12. Thank you all so much for tuning in for the last little bit of the streams today. The After Dark stream will become a thing with either just myself or Brad, depending on who's available. So, yeah, check us out on there. Give a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. And keep an eye out for the confirmed trades, most likely Tuesday or Thursday. And give me a follow on X just to stay up to date. Love you guys hanging out with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I'll see you guys soon.